Welcome to the DwigAmerica podcast. And now your host, Todd Dwiggins.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're listening. Welcome to the DwigAmerica podcast. I am your host, Todd Dwiggins, coming to you live from the DwigAmerica studios here in lovely Central Texas. It is a beautiful, beautiful fall day here. It's 75 degrees and sunny. It's been overcast and kind of rainy for the last couple of weeks, which is fine because it's what we need here. Very dry, very hot summer. So we're enjoying the mild fall temperatures here in Central Texas. Well, welcome again. And today's podcast, I'm going to call Friends and Family. I've been very reflective on friends and family this past week for various reasons. And it started with, I was thinking about my grandmother, who lived to be almost just shy, about a month shy of being 101 years old. And she was probably one of the funniest people I knew. And it wasn't that she was funny like telling jokes funny. It was funny like blunt grandma funny. There's nothing better than blunt grandma funny. Let me give you an example. When my grandfather died, he was about 10 years older than she was. So he died in 1996. And my grandmother continued to live alone in her house, kind of out in the country. Well, one day, not long after he passed away, a piece of mail came addressed specifically to my grandfather. And my grandmother asked my aunt, "Do you think I should forward the mail to the cemetery lot 32, whatever his plot number was?" And my aunt was like, "No, don't do that." But I thought that was funny. I thought that was hilarious. Like, yeah, of course you're going to, yes, I would have forwarded it because, first of all, it's just funny. And if it makes me laugh, I'm doing it. So I always appreciated about that about my grandmother. When she was getting up to upper 90s, 97, 98, whatever, I went to visit her and I said, "Grandma, you have to do me one favor. You have to live to be 100. And she says, "I don't want to live to be 100. That's terrible. That's old. I do not want to live to be 100. And I said, "Grandma, look, there's not a lot of things we have going for us for our family name. Okay, we're not dignitaries in any way. We're not politically powerful. We're not rich. We're not famous. You can do this for the family. You can live to be 100, and that would be awesome for the family." And she laughed and thought that was funny, that the reason why I wanted her to live to be 100 was so that we could get some family notoriety. She thought that was funny. So anyway, love my grandma. Now, my grandfather, who died in 1996, was a pretty funny character. They lived out in the country, like I said. They had a big tree out in the yard, had vines. I don't know if they were poison ivy vines or poison oak or whatever. There were these vines all over this tree that were killing the tree. And my grandfather went out and said, "I'm going to take care of these vines." And my grandmother, the other thing about her, she would always start and end every sentence with my grandpa's name. So I can't say this right into the speaker because I'll break the speaker. But she would say, his name was Bob, and she would say in this loud military grade, weapon grade voice, "Bob, don't burn down the tree. Bob." And he would say, "I'm not going to burn down the tree." And he went outside and came back in a few minutes later and said, "You better call the fire department that the tree's on fire," and went to his room and shut the door. And sure enough, she looked outside and the entire tree from trunk up was completely engulfed in flames. She said you could see flames shooting from inside the tree out through little holes in the bark and stuff. So the fire department comes out, puts the tree out. My grandfather never comes out of the bedroom, and the fire department leaves. And she said next year the tree bloomed bigger and better than ever, but he wouldn't acknowledge it. So he was a funny, quirky fellow. My other grandfather died when I was about 9, and he was a very generous, very loving man. I didn't get to know him that well because I was 9, and it's sometimes you don't appreciate relationships at that age. I just remember he would go and watch me jump off a diving board like 100 times because I was so excited that I was brave enough at age 9 or 8, whenever this was, to go off a diving board 100 times. And then I had his wife, my other grandmother, one of those like quiet, very stoic people. He doesn't say a lot, but you knew never to mess with her. But she never yelled. I never heard her raise her voice. I made her laugh once because I said, I was talking to her and I said, "Oh, I get it." And she said, "What?" I said, "Now I know why they call me Motor Mouth." And she laughed, and I was proud that, yes, I got that grandmother to laugh. So if I could make my grandmothers laugh, I was super excited because they weren't real jokers. But anyway, so that's a little bit about family. Now, I want to continue on family because I want to talk about something that's very important. I'm a person, like most people, that I'm racked with self-doubt, okay? I talked about fear in an earlier podcast, okay? That's something that has been like heavy on my mind since I was a kid. Fear, self-doubt, whatever. But what I think is so important is, for instance, doing this podcast, I thought in my head, this is ridiculous. No one cares. No one's going to listen. And the fact is, no one really does care, and not a lot of people, if any, are even listening. So why am I doing it? It doesn't matter, right? Well, I knew my mom and dad, I knew my brother, I knew my family, my sister, whatever. I knew they would all be very supportive, like, "Hey, do it. It's a good idea. Great job. Good. This is a good thing." But what was really important is to have my wife and even her parents say, "Hey, that's great." Encourage me, even though to me it's kind of like, I want to do something that is productive and makes money. Now, this does not make me any money at all, but just to get that encouragement, it gives me confidence, in fact, in them, if that makes sense. So what my point is there's a lot of people out there in your life that aren't family. Some are, but there's a lot of people that aren't family. They're gonna tell you something, gonna share something with you. Like, "Hey, I'm writing a book. Hey, I'm doing something that maybe you think, that's crazy. Why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense to you." It doesn't hurt. It never hurts to be encouraging. It doesn't matter. Maybe they will fail. Maybe it's like this podcast. Maybe no one's going to listen to it. Maybe no one's going to read their book. Maybe no one's going to see what they're participating in. But encouragement builds trust because they know, you know what? At least they believe in me. And I don't know how to put it in any other way. It doesn't hurt to be giving that way. And I'm a person that's been a struggle for. If someone tells me, if someone told me I'm doing a podcast, I would be like, "Okay, why are you doing a podcast? That's kind of ridiculous. And, why are you so special?" I can be very cynical that way. It's like, if someone said they were going to be an actor, I'd be like, "Why are you going to be an actor? You're never going to make money at it." And there's no point, no help in being discouraging. So anyway, it's something I'm personally working on, but I realize how much I appreciate when friends and family say, "You know what, go for it. You'd be great at it." Even if they're lying, which I don't believe they are, but if they were, it's still so important to just be encouraging. I'm going to talk about 3 of my friends. I'm not going to name them because I'm going to have, I think, all 3 of them on at some time. So I'll let you figure out who they are. We're just going to go with friend A, friend B, friend C. And as they come on, you can decide who you think friend A, friend B, and friend C are. Friend A is someone that I've known for over 20 years. This person makes me laugh because they do the most ridiculous things in places that just crack me up. For instance, we would be at a sporting event, okay? And he would stand up, turn around to the rest of the crowd, point randomly into the crowd, wave, and say like something like, Mike, yeah, hey, Mike, yeah, 5 o'clock. Okay, we'll see you at 5. And he would just see how many people would turn around and try to look to see who this Mike was. And there was no Mike, but it always just cracked me up because it was just ridiculous, but funny. And so that's friend A. Friend B, the thing I most appreciate about friend B, actually all my friends are this way as far as being encouraging, but the one thing I like about my friend B is they're the person that knows me so well. They know where I struggle. They know my weaknesses. And they point it out in such a way that's not insulting and not hurtful, but makes me laugh. So they know, hey, Todd, remember the time, they'll know who I'm talking about when I say this. One of the first times they came to my home, we're in my living room. The kitchen is right next to the living room. And it's kind of an open area so you can see into the living room from the kitchen. We're talking, hanging out. I get up, go into the kitchen, pull out a glass, go to the refrigerator, grab some milk, pour me some milk, get some chocolate milk powder, put it in, stir it up, chug the milk, put it down, go back and sit in the living room. Didn't think a thing about it. But this friend always reminds me, hey, remember the first time I came to visit, or one of the first times I came to visit, when you made chocolate milk and didn't offer me any? And it always makes me laugh, but it also makes me realize, wow, that was really rude. And so it makes me more thoughtful. So this person also makes me laugh really easily, like all my friends do. They make me laugh in different ways. That's kind of the way they do it. Very subtle, or just kind of like, hey, remember the time? And it always makes me laugh. And it always just reminds me to, you know what? Take a second and be thoughtful. Friend C is one of these friends that if you just saw them, you'd be like, okay, what's the deal with them? Kind of quiet. I mean, they talk very, I don't know how to put it, not, I guess dry. Dry is the way to put it. They're very dry. And that kind of humor, they can keep a straight face, tell you a story, have a great line in it, and they could make me laugh. Whenever we were anywhere, they would always say something to make me laugh and get me in trouble. And then people would look at me like I'm the guy that's being goofy, and they would look at me like, why are you laughing? When they knew they had just said something that only maybe I would get, but they would crack me up. So anyway, I'll have friend A, I'll have friend B, and I hope to have friend C on at some time. You'll have to decide who they are if you hear, especially friend C. I think he'll be very hard to catch because I don't think they would be as comfortable with the podcast, but whatever. That's fine. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. This is the only thing that really was on my mind this week was friends and family. And again, go out there and, hey, if you want to do something, do it. And don't be afraid. Don't be a scaredy cat like me. And encourage others that want to do good things in this world. So thanks for listening to this episode of the DwigAmerica podcast. If you have a question, comment, complaint, you want to be a guest, because I'd like to have guests on here, email me at dwigamaniac@gmail.com. So thanks for listening, and until next time, so long, everybody.